a live stream. All right, Katie, our stream is live. So monitor and let me know. Fingers crossed. Hey there, everybody. Meteorologist Will Haney here. We're getting our live stream going. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren, Allegan, and Ottawa counties. This is going to go through 4:45 this afternoon. This is for radar indicated gusts up to 70 miles an hour. We're going to get you some details here in just a second, but it's working. Okay. Thank goodness. Okay. So Derek, would it be possible to throw up the shot really quick? Just not on air. Okay, cool. That looks good. I just want to get my position. And then Derek, I am good to go whenever you are. And whenever Master Control is ready. All right. Hey, check. Hello. Mic check. Checking the mic. All right, everybody. Okay. So everybody on the live feed, we're going to do a quick update on TV. So I'll be addressing the camera. Once we stay on air for a few minutes with this, we'll be going over in more detail on the stream. So obviously this is a pretty dangerous situation. St. Joseph, South Haven, Saugatuck, Holland, Fenville, these are all really popular destinations. Okay. Good afternoon, West Michigan. I'm meteorologist Will Haney. We're interrupting our regular programming to give you an alert regarding a severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued moments ago by the National Weather Service. This includes 3 of our counties, and this is a county-wide warning. Van Buren, Allegan, and Ottawa counties, that orange shading that you see there. This is for a line of very strong storms approaching our lakeshore. This line is moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So anyone that is offshore, I know this is a very popular weekend, of course, for some of those lakeshore destinations, given that it is a holiday weekend. And of course, with the hot weather, there's a lot of folks out at the beach, out on boats. Anyone offshore right now needs to seek immediate harbor and get to their dock. That's just, again, the most blunt way to put it. This is a very strong line of storms. It's not tornadoes, but this is still a very strong line capable of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That is going to do a lot of havoc if you are out caught in this off guard. So if you know anyone, for example, offshore of St. Joe, South Haven, Holland, Saugatuck, give them a call right now if they are hopefully aware of this situation and getting them on shore. So this line, like I said, is tracking at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. It will arrive quickly. It's going to produce primarily a damaging wind threat, but then also frequent lightning, similar to what we had with some of those storms last night. So this warning, again, through 4:45 p.m., I'm getting some of the latest info on this. It is moving east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So what I'm going to do is draw a track on this line. It looks like Berrien County was just added to that warning, by the way. That one likely through a similar time frame. So again, some of those lakeshore locations I was just mentioning, all of those popular lakeshore destinations from Ottawa County south need to be getting to a building away from the lakeshore. Do not try to just hang out on South Beach and take a bunch of pictures of this. This is getting to a dangerous situation very quickly given that prolific lightning. Look at the lightning counter in the top left. That's about 1,300 lightning strikes. It'll update there in just a second. That's within about the last 15 to 20 minutes. You can just see it's almost hard to make out the radar with all those lightning flashes being indicated there. So at about 45 to 50 miles per hour, what I'm going to do is draw a little bit of a timing for us here just to get an estimate of when this is going to be pushing on shore. So give me just a moment. We're going to get some of the latest tracks on this. So right before 4 o'clock is when the best potential for those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds will be arriving in South Haven. If you're up towards Holland area, for example, Hofmaster or Holland State Park Beach, 3:46 p.m. So a little bit earlier, given that kind of segment of storms is protruding a little farther east on that northern edge of this storm. Let's get an idea for St. Joe, Benton Harbor, that is also a little bit earlier than South Haven. That's just solely due to the fact we have that kind of bow shape to Lake Michigan. So within the next 15 to 30 minutes, there is a pretty strong line of storms that is going to be making its way onshore. This is why we're interrupting our programming. This line, by the way, has no signs of weakening, and that's been really the case as it pushed out of Chicago. It does have a history, too, and a confirmed history of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Now, regardless, we're all under a severe thunderstorm watch, or at least most of us, I-96 and south. This was rolled out maybe about 30, 45 minutes ago by the National Weather Service. This continues through 10 p.m. This is really speaking to the hazards we were just talking about, the potential for damaging wind gusts up to about 55 to 70 miles per hour, hail up to an inch, and then that frequent lightning threat should not be overlooked either. We had numerous outages yesterday associated with primarily gusty winds through Berry County, but there were also likely some just due to all that lightning. Can't make out much of a shelf right now in South Haven. We'll keep an eye on this live camera. I would expect, like I said, hopefully some boaters coming in the Black River Channel. Certainly don't want to see anyone heading the opposite direction. So it's a great sign to see all these boaters there heading this direction towards Safe Harbor. That's what we want to see right now. So again, if you know anyone offshore of South Haven, anyone that's doing any boating, any jet skiing, anything like that, you need to get them away from this line of storms because it has the potential for some very strong winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, strong enough like a smaller vessel that could literally inundate it with water perhaps. And then also that frequent lightning threat is not to be overlooked as well. So just the very latest, we have Ottawa, Allegan, Van Buren, and Berrien counties, 4 West Michigan counties now under the severe thunderstorm warning. I just want to really quickly check the Berrien County warning. That one goes through 4:45 as well for the same exact risks, which is hail up to an inch. I'm less concerned with the hail overall compared to that potential which they are headlining, which is up to 70 mile per hour wind speeds. And when we switch this radar product over to velocity, you're going to see it here, the strong winds. So what I'll do is switch this over to our velocity once I can find it. Here we go. And you're going to see these bright greens that are really cooking across Lake Michigan right now. These storms moving at about 45 to 50 miles per hour, so they will arrive very quickly, very shortly. Some of the first locations to see these really strong winds is going to be up towards Saugatuck, Holland area, I-196. We want you guys seeking shelter, getting into a building. These winds will bring likely some scattered outages, tree damage, and things of that nature. So again, we want you getting to a safe spot. This is not a tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. But as we look at live Doppler radar's wind direction and speed, these bright greens that you're seeing over Lake Michigan within that storm cluster, very concerning. That is, again, that radar indicating wind speeds upwards of about 60 miles per hour, if not stronger than that. So that's even stronger than was indicated with some of our storms last night, by the way. So again, I'll just wrap this up. We are going to conclude this cut in on television right now. We're not going anywhere. We're streaming right now to the News Channel 3 Facebook and YouTube pages. So you can find this continuing coverage there. As more warnings and more updates are coming in, as needed, we'll cut into our TV programming as well. But we want to get you back to that. We have a severe thunderstorm watch through 10 p.m. So this isn't necessarily going to be finished once it rolls through the lakeshore. I do expect some of these storms to continue cranking off to the east, eventually impacting places like Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, or even the Berry County area, a location that saw some strong storms yesterday. So everyone just be on guard, be monitoring the situation, and especially with all the outdoor activities and festivities for this holiday weekend, you need to have a close eye on the sky. But again, our stream will continue here on Facebook and YouTube. We'll send you back to regular programming. All right, everybody. So we just wrapped up that quick little cut in. Because this isn't like a tornado situation, we're kind of assessing whether or not we're going to go on for longer on TV. Hold on, everybody. Just trying to gather myself a little bit. Dave, hey, Derek, are you still listening? One second, everybody. Okay, Are you cool with that? Do you want me to do another one? Like, what's your thought? Yeah. And you want me doing similar situation? Okay. 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 Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I'll plan on doing another one at about 45, which will time out with some of this making its way on shore too. So, okay. Yeah, if you need to communicate to me at all during this, just come up to the studio or go into the control room and then I'm on IFB, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye. All right. Sorry, everybody. That was our news director. We're just kind of organizing the TV plan as well. So, because this isn't tornado warnings, we're not necessarily going to stay wall to wall on TV right now, but we're kind of evaluating that. We'll probably do another update on TV here in about 15 minutes. But of course, you guys are watching on Facebook and YouTube. I was just checking our wind gusts really quickly just to see if anything was starting to spike. Let me gather my bearings here for just a second and just get caught up on a couple things. We again, this is a very strong line of storms that is approaching, and I want everyone that's in some of these lakeshore towns to make sure people are just taking this storm seriously. 70-mile-per-hour winds are nothing to scoff at. We could certainly see some tree limb damage, some larger trees down from 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And while this isn't necessarily tornadoes, this is going to be the sort of deal that could bring some pretty widespread outages and damage. And of course, this is, like I said, just such poor timing because you have so many folks at some of these lakeshore towns. I mean, like, look in South Haven right now. And I know it's hard to make out, but you can see those folks just like strolling along the Black River Channel, and you wonder how even aware of the situation they are. And then you couple that with the fact, like, when people are on vacation, they're not as clued into the local weather as they certainly are if it's in their hometown, right? And they're maybe not as aware. So this is not necessarily a great situation. I'm going to move our camera around just to pan around and see if I can make any sort of shelf cloud out. I'm not seeing too much right now, but it is refreshing to see a lot of boats coming on shore. We are definitely happy to see that. I'm going to pan this around. There's a little bit of a lag on your all's end. There it goes. It's going to start moving around, but you'll see. I'm just kind of scanning the sky to see what I can make out, and maybe a little bit of the early signs of a shelf cloud beginning to take shape there. Yeah, definitely looking a little bit more menacing. So give me just a second. I'm going to edit a different graphic and see how quickly I can get this pulled up. But again, lakeshore counties, Van Buren, Berrien, Allegan, Ottawa counties, all under a severe thunderstorm warning through 4:45 p.m. So that's the area of interest for sure right now. I'm going to show you the view from South Beach because it's a little bit better. You can kind of make out the striations a little bit in the clouds. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can just see all the boats. I don't know. Oh, the U-Haul, geez. The U-Haul on North Pier is, I'm sure, associated with setup for Light Up the Lake tonight, which is a whole separate thing that I'm sure they're kind of concerned about. I'm just going to check the chat with the National Weather Service and see what their thoughts are. Give me just a second, everybody. All right. Okay, let's see. All right. I'm on the stream, obviously, but what's up? You can talk to me.
Help in the booth while you're on TV?
Just, I mean, if you guys are watching and you think it warrants staying on, or like if there's anything that you want to convey, then just let me know.
If you saw when you showed the South Haven camera, all those boats that were racing to get off
Yeah,
the lake.
yeah, that's really pretty striking, right? And then right now, the view in South Haven is looking a little bit more impressive. So let's jump back to radar for the stream and for TJ, our assistant news director that just walked in. But this is going to be hitting probably up towards Saugatuck first. South Haven, there's still maybe 10, 15 minutes, but you can see this line that's advancing towards Saugatuck, like that's going to be there within 5 minutes.
Obviously, we have a crew on their way to South Haven right now. So
Okay, so here is 1 second. Let me see something really quick. I'm gonna see just how fast these winds are. I think this will work. Yeah, I mean, so that's right around severe thresholds approaching Saugatuck. You know, sometimes the radar beam is hitting a little higher in the storm, given that it's a little far away from the radar. But anytime we're seeing 59-mile-per-hour winds, that's definitely enough to cause some concern. And that's honestly not even as impressive as this area a little farther south. And again, this is hitting a little higher in the storm, so that doesn't always translate to the wind speeds closer to the ground. But if I look at this little pocket, I bet you're going to see 65, maybe even higher. Yeah, so 68. That's why this warning has the threshold of 70 miles per hour in the warning text. So this is a definitely very concerning pocket that's going to hit Berrien County up into Van Buren and Allegan counties too. So yeah, and maybe keep an eye on like the outages too, and then I'll have some of that pulled up as well. But I would expect us. So all of us, for the most part, under a severe thunderstorm watch. That was issued just a little bit ago in case you're just hopping on here. But the bigger area of concern right now, immediate concern, is the lakeshore, where we have tons of people visiting Holland, Allegan, South Haven, Benton Harbor, just some of the locations in this warning. Of immediate concern would be Saugatuck, Fenville areas. You're going to see the first bit of these storms start to roll in. And then there's a little bit longer. I mean, we're talking like 10, 15 minutes for South Haven in terms of the timing of this. So let me draw a couple areas on here. Sometimes this gets a little hard when these storms are moving at the pace they are. However, I'll try to do my best. So this little area right here, beelining right for Saugatuck in the next few minutes. And then you can see Holland at about 3:54, so that's 15 minutes from now. Monterey, Door at about 4:15. Allegan closer to about 4:15 as well. Thornapple, and then eventually Caledonia closer to about 4:30. I do expect these storms as well to maintain their strength as they continue to move onshore into a pretty juicy environment for strong storms. There's still a lot of what we call instability out there. So again, that was just one area of interest. And then additionally, I mean, all the way down right into the South Haven area, we're about to see a pretty impressive line of showers and storms. And we should get even maybe some gust reports from the buoy that's about a mile offshore of South Haven. I would expect that to pick up here within the next hour. Dang it, that's what I was talking about. Hold on. Don't look at that. I got to zoom out a little bit because these storms are moving at about 45 miles an hour. I basically have to make sure my scope on the map is zoomed out enough. So South Haven, which that's the pretty much exact same time I think I showed during our TV cut-in about 15 minutes ago now, right before 4 o'clock. We're talking in the next 15 or so minutes, in about 15 minutes, strong line of wind and then frequent lightning on the back end. I'm also watching this area a little farther south. That's going to really blow through. Benton Harbor, St. Joe is right there, or like right there. That is definitely an area of concern too. And then eventually, you know, not to be overlooked, I know I'm talking a lot about our lakeshore communities because that's an immediate threat for them. However, if you are in Van Buren County, if you are in Allegan County, the entire county is under this warning for about the next hour. And so you can see this line is eventually going to impact places like Allegan, closer to about 4:15, Paw Paw even closer to about 4:20, and then eventually into westernmost Kalamazoo County in the Oshmo area right around 4:30. So that kind of gives you a timeline. So Kalamazoo, we probably have about 45 minutes or so, 45 minutes to an hour before this line is approaching us. So, if you're in Kalamazoo, you got a little bit more time. If you're at the lakeshore, though, you only have, 10 to 15 minutes. There's also some additional cells beginning to fire out ahead of that main line. I'm less concerned with those. However, even like this little storm that's starting to develop near Schoolcraft, that's headed for some of the lakes in Vicksburg, for example, that could start producing some lightning. That's not severe warned, but still, I would say if you are at any lakes in Kalamazoo, even down into St. Joseph, in Cass counties, I think it's a good idea. I know there's just a lot of people at a lot of our inland lakes right now because it's a day off for a lot of folks. I think it's a good idea to start just bringing people inside. Like, not the time to be just, still killing. I mean, maybe a little bit of time in Kalamazoo, but not really. So I would say, just in an abundance of caution, like, start calling folks if they're out on the water. If they're in this warning area, definitely. But even if you're in like Kalamazoo or Berry County, basically just start getting ready to head in, because this storm will advance fairly quickly and produce, like I said, potentially some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. But then on top of that, just the frequent lightning, similar to what we had late last night. It was quite the light show. This lightning is prolific offshore of Benton Harbor right now, offshore of Berrien County. And then also that's going to move into South Haven. I'll be right back. I need to get some water. I didn't drink enough water today, as we've been telling you guys to drink water all week. Oh yeah, there we go. So look at this view in South Haven now. Wow. So yeah, we've got some shelf action kind of moving in. So what we're starting to see is that rain cooled air. This is kind of like your classic shelf appearance. It's probably even a little bit more impressive on this camera, perhaps. We'll see. So I'm going to switch this over to the South Beach camera. You can see some scary looking clouds. One thing I will say on the stream, and I'll mention on TV as well, this is not likely to be a tornado sort of setup. Tornadoes are not really anticipated or expected. This is just a straight line wind sort of a setup where you have a strong line of storms advancing towards the lakeshore. Sometimes the lakeshore as well can see some more impressive wind because it's just open water. There's not trees or buildings to slow the momentum of that wind down. So sometimes the lakeshore can really get hammered when it comes to some strong wind from these sort of thunderstorms that we're looking at. I almost like this view from our camera a little bit better from on top of the marina in South Haven. So I'll give you that view now, and I can actually pan this view around as well. And let's just see. I mean, this is going to be a very ominous looking cloud, but again, if you're seeing any sort of like little appendages or anything sticking out along the base of the cloud, it's not likely to be anything tornadic or anything like that. These are going to look a lot scarier from an appearance standpoint than some others would. Oh my gosh, my camera's locking up, so hopefully that's not out of power. That's not a good sign. Hopefully our camera didn't take a lightning strike or something. But yeah, that's quite the view. Some scary looking clouds, as we call them. Very technical term, approaching South Haven. But again, it's still 88 degrees with ample humidity. So these storms still have plenty of instability, plenty of energy to work with as they work their way inland. And so we need to be definitely taking them seriously. Maybe some slight, I hate to say that, maybe some ever so slight weakening, but we're talking ever so slight. So yeah, we have just a few minutes. Saugatuck, you're probably starting to see the rain advancing in right now. Right up towards like Mount Baldy right now. Douglas, Saugatuck, you're going to start, you're the first ones to see some of this rain. Potential wind gusts up there are closer to about 55 to 60 miles per hour. The warning is for gusts up to 70 miles per hour. However, when I was scanning the velocity a little bit earlier in this vicinity, it wasn't quite as impressive. So I'll give you a look at that, and we can kind of show you what I'm talking about. But yeah, wind speeds have actually come down a little bit, at least in a quick check. So closer to about 50 to 60 miles an hour. But do keep in mind, that's still strong enough to cause, at the very least, some minor tree limb damage and cause at least some scattered outages. We saw wind speeds right around that threshold yesterday do a lot of damage through Berry County. What I can do as well is bring this a little farther south, and you can see, again, just those brighter shades of green that are approaching, say, like Covert. On the south side of South Haven, you have Van Buren State Park right there. A popular, again, state park during these holiday weekends. Anyone in Van Buren State Park, especially campers, I would really advise to get to like the bathroom building or some sort of structure. An RV is probably okay unless you're surrounded by a bunch of trees, as is often the case at campgrounds. So, out of an abundance of caution, if you just so happen to know anyone at like Van Buren State Park, I would have them trying to get to like a building of some sort. And the beautiful thing of our state park campgrounds, at least the vast majority of them, have usually some sort of centralized bathroom, shower building where, people can shelter. The main concern there would just be like a larger tree falling on your campsite or something like that, which we certainly are not hoping for. But, I always just, I'm a meteorologist, so we always talk in an abundance of caution. I would just do that, because those are 60 plus mile per hour winds advancing right towards South Haven. So again, this is just not great timing. Like I was touching on a little earlier, you have a lot of folks from out of town that maybe aren't as aware, or, maybe they're from, I grew up in St. Louis and we came to Grand Haven my entire life. And, we saw a decent amount of storms, but I think there is a notion of people that come from like Indianapolis, St. Louis, or Memphis that like, oh, Michigan, they don't see as nasty of weather as we do down south. So there is a little bit of that. I sometimes feel like, from personal experience as well. So people, if you are, from out of state and you're here, these are storms to take seriously for sure, and to not scoff at and be like, oh, cool. Stormy day out on the lake. Like, no, this is actually a little bit more serious than just your average stormy day. So South Haven, it's 82. The air temp has come down already, and that's at the airport, which is just a little inland. So that's probably the gust front that has arrived. Let me scan the chat with the National Weather Service. So anyways, 1 second. I never got my water. Stay by. I also have to somehow prep for our newscasts. So that's interesting. I don't know how I'm going to do that entirely. This is pretty much going to be our newscast. But yeah, I'm also watching these cells. What'd you say? Pretty legit. In the thick of it. Yeah, let me switch over. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't really make out much. Yeah, so really heavy rain right now in Benton Harbor. Just looks like our camera is almost out of focus because there's just so much rain. So I'm not really going to show that, but I do want to share there's a new warning, it looks like, for Cass County. It also includes parts of Indiana too, but this is now through 5 p.m. for Cass County, for the same exact warning threshold, which is wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. The heavy rain is going to be approaching South Haven. It's definitely weakened slightly on radar. However, as it starts working on shore, there's still, like I said, even more energy. So it still could kind of pick up again in terms of intensity. So, it's not to say that we can just ignore this anymore. And I mean, just look at the lightning. Like I said, approaching I-196 between Benton Harbor and South Haven. There's like, just within the scope that we're looking at right there, pushing on nearly 600 lightning strikes. I'm too tall. My camera is too low. But it is, I mean, it is a slightly good sign that this has weakened a little bit on radar. There's still this one pocket, though, that's taking aim at, I would say, Van Buren County, especially Covert Township. That bright area that's right in the middle of your screen right there is our greatest potential for some 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts. It's come down a little bit, though. So like I was showing you maybe 5-10 minutes ago, wind speeds were clocking closer to 70 just a little bit ago. So they've come down slightly. One thing, TJ, I probably should do is do another TV cut-in, I think. Hey, Derek, are you listening by chance? Also looks like St. Joseph's. Wait. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, Derek, let's prepare to do another cut-in just to like update the situation basically. Oh man, they updated us to an enhanced risk. That's interesting. Stand by, Derek. I just want to check one thing. So just of slight note, the risk has been upgraded slightly for us here to now an enhanced risk of wind with peak gusts. I'm going to update this to up to 70 miles per hour. So yeah, basically that's just the Storm Prediction Center, which is a branch of the National Weather Service, echoing that, hey, this is a main area of concern here in lower Michigan for the next several hours. Let me move my big old water bottle, Derek, and then we can do another quick cut in. Okay. I am ready. Sorry if you're watching Jeopardy or whatever's on TV right now. Good afternoon, I'm meteorologist Will Haney. We're just cutting into our programming again to give you an update on the storm situation playing out here across West Michigan. We still have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of our lakeshore communities. This now extends into Cass County as well. These warnings go for about another hour in most scenarios through about 4:45 for the lakeshore counties and then Cass County through 5 p.m. The potential for some 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts is the main concern here. That and a lot of lightning. We're also starting to see some cells flare up ahead of the main line that is right at the lakeshore currently. Those cells that you can see kind of percolating near the Kalamazoo-St. Joseph line, not likely to be severe, but they are starting to produce some lightning. So what I would advise is certainly our lakeshore communities to try and get to just a building of some sort. I do not want anyone out on South Beach, North Beach trying to get some video or pictures. The wind alone is a concern, but just the amount of cloud-to-ground lightning that is going to very quickly advance, that could turn into a very dangerous situation. It will turn into a very dangerous situation very quickly. So this isn't necessarily something to be out trying to, get a photo for Instagram or something like that. Now, if you're in Kalamazoo County, if you're in Berry County, you're not under a warning yet, although I do expect this line to maintain at least most of its intensity as it works its way inland. So if you have people out on some of our inland lakes, I know this is a holiday weekend, I know it's bad timing, I know there's tons of people out on our lakes doing some boating, jet skiing, whatever it may be. If you're in these counties that are just out of the warning area, I would start kind of sounding the alarm to your family, your friends, if they're on the water right now, to get them heading home and to, again, a building, because let alone just the amount of lightning has me pretty concerned for any sort of outdoor recreation right now. This right now is right along I-196. I'll show you the view right now in South Haven. This is from the top of the marina, so this will be looking down the Black River Channel, and you're gonna see probably some really heavy rain starting. It doesn't look like the super heavy rain is hit the marina just yet, but we're starting to see that wind shake the camera. Temperatures have also dropped about 15, 20 degrees in just the last 10 to 15 minutes. So that's a sign that the gust front, that rain cooled air, is surging inland right now. Yeah, definitely some strong wind starting to work its way onshore. That wall or curtain of really heavy rain, you're going to probably see it almost in the next 15 minutes or so, probably even the next few minutes advancing. You're starting to lose the visibility of the lake there. It almost just looks grayed out. That is likely that heavy rain just inching a little closer to our camera there. But again, this is, again, a holiday weekend. We still see some boats here in the channel. So hopefully they can hustle and get to their dock. You also see a good amount of folks out along the Black River channel. So they need to be in at least a vehicle. You know, a vehicle will protect you from some of that cloud to ground lightning, which is a main concern in addition to the 60, 70 mile per hour winds. This storm is moving at about 45 miles an hour to the east. So this will push it through all of Allegan, all of Van Buren, all of Berrien County, eventually into Cass County. Cass County, in fact, we're starting to see a flare up immediately ahead of that main line. So Dowagiac, Sister Lakes area, for example, another popular spot, is seeing some strong storms currently. Now, one thing I will say, these have weakened ever so slightly in their radar presentation in terms of wind speed and in terms of what we call reflectivity, basically those brighter and darker reds. However, this still is working into a favorable environment where it still could maintain its strength from here on out. It's still showing the potential of 60 mile per hour winds. If I put our velocity scan, this is almost like a magnifying glass for looking at wind speed. Some of the strongest winds I still see are immediately offshore of, say, St. Joe. Those are going to be rolling into St. Joe here very shortly. But as we look up towards the lakeshore, basically these brighter pockets of green, those are indicating wind speeds minimally at about, I would say, 45 to 50 miles per hour, but then also on the high end, some pockets of likely 60 plus miles per hour. So if I click just one area, just a little southwest of South Haven, for example, that's a wind speed of about 60 miles an hour, certainly strong enough to do some tree limb damage, possibly some power line damage as well. By the way, the storms we saw last night were probably producing wind gusts up to about 45 to 50. So these are stronger than even some of the storms that worked their way through southern Allegan, southern Berry County, especially yesterday, which did produce quite a bit of outages. So this definitely is something we will continue to monitor. If you're not under that severe thunderstorm warning currently, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch. At least the vast majority of us are. I'll step out of the way so you can kind of get a picture of this. But these storms are going to continue to crank off to the east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. So that's why I was saying Kalamazoo, you're not under a warning just yet. Three Rivers, you're not under a warning just yet. However, I would expect this to continue in the next hour, and we'll likely see these warnings extended east as the storm is expected to kind of maintain its momentum in the coming hour or so. So that's why I was saying, I know there's a lot of folks on inland lakes. I think like the Portage area, Austin Lake, there was a ton of people out. I just so happened to drive by that earlier. This is the time, you still have some time before the storm is rolling in, but this is what's headed your way within the hour. And so torrential rain, frequent lightning, and possibly some gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. Temperature has dropped about 20 degrees in South Haven, which we would expect with these storms. But I'm trying to get a view and see if we see anyone sprinting up the Black River channel. Not a good situation to be in. But that picture kind of tells a story that just a few moments ago we were seeing, like I said, that wall of rain approaching and encroaching on the lakeshore. Now it's arrived, and within that, you're going to have numerous cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. It does look like a station in Benton Harbor reported a wind gust of 55 miles per hour, and some of the strongest wind still is, I think, offshore of Benton Harbor, likely to blow through within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So we're already getting a little bit of confirmation that we have some severe grade wind speeds approaching Lake Michigan. And there's also possibly, I'm seeing from our sister station in South Bend, they were seeing a possible water spout offshore of South Haven or St. Joe, which is just of note. And but taking another look at that very well could just be some strong wind, kind of with some sea spray or lake spray, if you want to call it that, in a picture that I'm looking at right now. But of note, these are really strong storms advancing towards our lakeshore right now and really arriving at the lakeshore. So we will continue to monitor this. Because this isn't a tornado situation, we're going to send you back to programming here momentarily. Here's the thing, though. We have a Facebook live stream. We have a YouTube live stream. We're going to stay on that as long as these warnings are in effect. And then as new warnings are issued and as updates warrant, we will hop back on to Channel 3 and keep you updated. But check out the very latest on our Facebook page and our YouTube stream. So we'll send you back to there. And again, updates as necessary in the coming hours. All right. Thanks, Derek. So frustrating. Every once in a while, TJ, I don't know why, but Splashtop, which is the software we use to remote into like our graphics, it just decides to boot me out, which is incredibly frustrating. So then I have to log back into everything. It's very, very convenient. All right, so yeah, that's the scene right now in South Haven. We were sitting on that a lot because I lost the ability to go back to my radar, which is incredibly frustrating. However, now I have it. So we're gonna flip this back and show you all what's going on. So yeah, that 55 mile per hour gust was in Benton Harbor. I'm gonna have to get creative here in a little bit because I also kind of have to prep some stuff for our newscasts. Hey TJ, want to learn how to make weather graphics?
I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, of note as well, these storms, they're not severe that are popping up. I heard one overhead, and these are definitely starting to flare up. These storms out ahead might even eventually get severe warned. Right now, none of these are super impressive, but this little cell right over Portage in 94, it's like right over like Airway Fun Center right now. That could have maybe even some very small hail. I'm just curious what this looks like on velocity. Probably not anything of note because it's still developing. Yeah, nothing jumping off the page in terms of velocity. But that is that's just north of all the lakes of Portage, just north of like Pfizer. It's right at 94 along Portage Road, essentially, and Westnedge. So there's some cells that are starting to pop up as well. And that's why I was, oh, there you go. Okay, great. All right, well, we're going to have to do another cut-in because now they're issuing a warning for Kalamazoo and Calhoun County, likely for some of these cells that are starting to pop up ahead of the main line. So, Derek, I don't know if you heard that. Derek, are you there? All right, our director, Derek, I got to loop him in. So there you go. So that's why I was really hammering home the point that we should be getting people indoors if they're out boating right now. Looks like, hey, dude, they just issued a warning for Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties. So I'm going to go back on basically rinse and repeat. Pretty much as soon as possible. Give me just a second. I'm catching up here a little bit. So this warning, one second. This was east at 20. Wow. Okay. Okay. Derek, let's go ahead and punch it, I guess. I'm good. I'm good. All right, another TV cut in, but you're going to hear all of it. Just good afternoon yet again. As promised, as new warnings are issued, we're going to be cutting into News Channel 3 to give you the very latest. Now Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties under severe thunderstorm warnings. This is due to the fact we're starting to see some further storm development out ahead of this main line that has already moved onshore at the lakeshore. So Kalamazoo, Calhoun counties, you are now under severe thunderstorm warning through 5:30. So this will go for at least another hour to an hour and a half. This is for, again, radar indicated wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour possible, hail up to an inch, but wind is the chief concern here, that and a lot of lightning. This is why just moments ago I was saying, if you're in Kalamazoo, if you're in Calhoun County, I would start getting people indoors, especially anyone out doing some boating, any outdoor recreation on this hot, humid day into the holiday weekend. I know there's a lot of folks out doing some fun festivities right now. However, you want to take these storms seriously. This isn't your garden variety, just stormy day. These are pretty impressive storms that are starting to work their way farther east, and you want to take them seriously. So Kalamazoo, Calhoun counties, we're going to give you the very latest on some of the cells that are starting to pop up just within the last 15 minutes. These develop pretty rapidly. One of them is, I would say, right kind of over 94, a little closer to, say, Sprinkle. It's approaching the Sprinkle exit of 94. And then another cell is right on top of Battle Creek right now, downtown Battle Creek. And Derek, I don't know if you're able to, a side-by-side with either Kalamazoo or Battle Creek would be great. Don't feel like you got to get to it immediately, but in the next few minutes, if you are able to prep that. I'm talking to our director, Derek. I would love to see just the view of how heavy this rain is right now in either Battle Creek or Kalamazoo, whichever is easiest. However, good cluster of lightning that's really flared up. Like I said, exiting the Portage area. That's just pushed through Millwood and is on top of Comstock right now. So this will eventually be in the Galesburg area here shortly. This storm is moving a little slower, though. It's moving east at about 25 miles per hour. That's a similar story to these cells that are going to be firing out ahead of the main line. They're going to be moving a little slower and have a slightly different trajectory likely than some of the cells coming off of Lake Michigan. These are going to be perhaps lifting a little bit farther to the northeast, but generally I would say east-northeast is their movement. And then meanwhile, we have this severe line of storms that is blown through the lakeshore now. Some of the worst wind is likely moving inland. So the lakeshore, the wind should generally subside, in about 5 to 10 minutes. However, it's not necessarily good timing to be trying to venture out in this. So that's the view from downtown Battle Creek. You can definitely see the cell right on top of the Cereal City producing some heavy rain. Yeah, you can't really see too much lightning there. Derek, thanks for pulling that up. I just wanted to see what that was kind of looking like. Some of the stronger winds, though, are going to be entering into Allegan here very shortly in the next couple minutes. Really, that new scan kind of telling the picture. In parts of Allegan already seeing some heavy rain, some lightning, some gusty winds. Now, farther down some of our lakeshore communities, now into Lawrence or, say, Hartford, you're seeing some heavy rain, some lightning. The wind and presentation on radar has come down a little bit, which is actually a good sign, but still the potential for some 60 to possibly 70 mile per hour winds is what we are relaying from the National Weather Service. There was already a confirmed wind gust of 55 miles per hour in Benton Harbor, which is still strong enough to do some tree limb damage and possibly even bring down some larger, especially rotted trees and things like that. So that's just sort of what we sort of see in these sort of environments. This cell, though, over portions of now Comstock, right along 94, that's right on top of the Sprinkle Road exit. Still some really torrential rain, might have even some small lightning within that cell. The wind speed with this one isn't necessarily jumping off the page to me just yet as far as some really intense wind, but it could start to collapse at any moment. Once these storms kind of bubble up, if they start to become a little bit more downdraft dominant, basically a storm as it's developing, it has a lot of rising motion. Once that rising motion kind of does its thing, storms start to collapse. And sometimes in those moments of these storms collapsing, you can sometimes see something called a downburst. It's basically rain-cooled air surging out from the base of that thunderstorm. And so that's likely why this got that warning. It's kind of a on-guard situation for a downburst that could impact anywhere as this works its way farther to the east. So Galesburg, eventually that is climax area, and then eventually 94 into Battle Creek as well. And then Battle Creek, you're seeing a cell as well, but that one not as impressive. There's also some storms as well farther south. So St. Joseph County, you're not under a warning just yet. However, these storms still producing similar concerns of heavy rain and lightning. And then even out towards the Marshall area, there's some cells as well. But Kalamazoo and Calhoun County, the very latest is you are now under a severe thunderstorm warning. So be inside, be away from windows, especially if you have any larger mature trees. I would just get to maybe the most interior part of your house, the lowest floor, if you do have a concern of rotted trees or large mature trees that you maybe haven't attended to, if you've been putting off, things like that. But near the lakeshore, this is still a potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts that we're going to continue to monitor. Sometimes the pockets of most intense lightning can speak to where some of the strongest winds are. That, as I see it, is currently near Dowagiac, entering into the Decatur area, for example, of Cass County here shortly, or it's really getting into Decatur. I don't know why Decatur isn't showing up on our map right now, but as we look towards Marcellus, Lawton area, for example, you all are definitely needing to get into a building here. This storm is going to be advancing very quickly on your location. And if I do a little bit of a scan just to kind of analyze things, these wind speeds have definitely weakened somewhat from a little earlier. However, just to the southeast of Dowagiac near Cassopolis right now, what I'll do is get a little bit of a radar estimate of wind speed with this. That is actually much weaker, 25, but that's just one random pixel. I just clicked 30. Yeah, that's come down quite a bit. I don't want you to necessarily ignore the warning, but that's good because just about 20 minutes ago, some of these storms were producing potentially some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That is still what this warning is for. However, it has definitely shown some signs of weakening. But like I was kind of touching on a little earlier, sometimes when those storms start to collapse, they can still produce some really strong wind. That's what my concern is with some of these cells near Kalamazoo or Calhoun counties. And then as well farther south, Athens, you're going to see a cell here very shortly. That's going to blow through the Athens area, eventually Union City and Union Lake. Union City is right on that border. You can see it there right here. That's right on the border of Calhoun and Branch County. And that little area right there, that is Union Lake, of course, the area that on March 6th dealt with that devastating high-end EF2 tornado. So you're not under the warning just yet. However, some lightning and heavy rain encroaching on your area. One thing I will say, we don't have any active tornado warnings at this time. Tornadoes are not really anticipated today. It is a extremely low, it's never a totally zero chance, I guess. However, this is about as minimal of a tornado threat day as you can get. There's just not a ton of shear in the atmosphere. This is just kind of this atmospheric heat, humidity bubbling up in the form of some pretty strong storms capable of downburst winds of about 60 to 70 miles per hour on the upper end. There was one new warning. It does look like kind of extended into a portion of Jackson County, I believe that is, and then Ingham and Eaton counties as well. However, that's sort of getting out of our viewing area, so we're not going to focus on that too much. Right now, Allegan, you are seeing the heavy rain and a good amount of lightning. Right now, I would be arguably most concerned, though, with this pocket of lightning near Dowagiac, Decatur, entering towards the Lawton or Marcellus area, and eventually that will push towards, I would say, Three Rivers as well. So with this, since we've now kind of gone over just some of the latest, I'm going to gather some of the latest reports. If we've seen any of those 55 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, I'll be relaying that. But as new warnings are issued, which I would expect some additional warnings probably for St. Joseph and Cass counties if these storms hold their intensity. As new warnings are issued, we'll be sure to cut into our programming here on News Channel 3 and the ARC West Michigan. Until that happens, we'll send you back to programming. Just a reminder, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube continuously, so we'll have the very latest there. All right, everybody. So, thanks, Eric. Let's see. All right. So I have on my Facebook page, anyone that's watching, all of the warnings that are issued, they get auto-populated on my Facebook page. So for anyone that's trying to see like where are all these warnings, you can either use our app, which is a great resource, or you can go to my Facebook page and just scroll the feed, and you'll kind of get an idea of where the worst of the storms are currently. I'm just looking through. I get a lot of messages in these moments, and so it just looks like generally some heavy rain from a viewer in Battle Creek. Thanks, Deborah, if you're watching. South Haven, more video of just that what we call scuddy or scud, which are just basically areas of lift and rising motion underneath the thunderstorm base. What's up, man?
I'm gonna start running through stuff.
Okay.
Turn down the.
Yeah, could you? Thanks. Smart thinking. Although, honestly, I'm far away where it probably wouldn't bug me, but what's up, man?
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to frantically start kind of prepping for our newscast, which will be interesting since I'm on this live stream, but I'll figure it out.
Is there anything we can help with?
You want to learn weather graphics in 5 minutes?
I can't do the weather graphics.
Come on, Eric. This guy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's not like I've. Yeah. Anyways.
Nothing else.
So yeah, no, we're good in the near term. These storms, I will say, as I was indicating on our cut in there, they've definitely weakened a little bit in terms of the velocity. So it will be interesting to see if the National Weather Service in northern Indiana extends that warning.
Hey, the wind's picking up in Allegan. Our crew just got there. There's barricades blowing around.
Okay.
It's starting to rain over there too.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, they just said that the north. Let me see that again. Allegan County Emergency Management may be activating sirens in the northeast corner of the county. So again, if you're hearing sirens right now near Dorr, near Layton, or Lighton, I think that is, Wayland. If you're hearing sirens, it's not a tornado warning right now. However, sometimes at the discretion of emergency managers, when severe thunderstorm warnings have that considerable damage tag, which is 70 mile per hour winds. Sometimes emergency managers will go ahead and sound the sirens because 70 mile per hour winds are still able to do damage consistent even with like a low end tornado. So that's kind of the thinking there, where sometimes you will hear the sirens when you have that sort of a wind potential. But again, based on what I'm seeing on velocity, let's see. That might have picked up a little bit again, right along that leading edge that just went through Dorr, approaching 131, and then we had a crew. We have a crew in Allegan. Are they in Allegan proper?
Yes.
TJ? Okay. Saying the wind is picking up quite a bit. Let me see. That looked like it kind of flared up a little bit again.
Raining. They were there for the 4th, and they some barricades and other stuff. Stuff starting to blow around.
So some 40, 43. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So they're still, look at that. I mean, they're still pushing on severe thresholds, 50-ish, 55. That's still enough to definitely do a little bit of scattered damage. I'm not seeing those 70 mile per hour winds that were indicated a little earlier, but that's not to say that these storms aren't still capable of that as they collapse. A little farther south, again, radar presentation is messy. Definitely nothing concerning from a tornado standpoint right now, and that is really not expected. These are just some strong storms tonight, not necessarily going to produce tornadoes. So Galesburg, you're getting drenched on right now. Climax, this will be moving Got it. Sorry, crisis averted. Okay. Hey there, everybody. I was panicked there for a second. I was dealing with some technical issues. Okay, let me get this a little bit bigger. And okay, Derek, as soon as you can, let's go with the TV cut in. Okay, move my water bottle. Okay, we're good. Sorry, everybody, about that. Technical issues. Good afternoon, West Michigan. I'm meteorologist Will Haney. We have some new information. If you are in Kalamazoo County, you likely just got a very loud alert on your phone just moments ago. That is for a new just update on the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties. They're now going with the wording of destructive with these severe thunderstorm warnings. I would treat this like you would a tornado situation if you're in Kalamazoo or Calhoun counties. We had a confirmed gust at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, just shy of 80 miles per hour. So during our last cut-in, I told you about the potential for those downburst style winds within some of these cells that are starting to flare up. I do believe that's likely what just happened in Kalamazoo. So yeah, we had a report of a 79 mile per hour gust just before 4:15 this afternoon, which is definitely considerable. That is hard to, that you don't see that too often just from a general thunderstorm. So that is from this cell that is approaching Battle Creek right now, and also right on top of Galesburg and Climax areas. Additionally, we have, of course, this line of storms that's starting to advance towards Berry County. That's new as well. Berry County, you are now, all of Berry County, under a severe thunderstorm warning. Let me get the info on that and just zoom in for you, and that will update this info up here. So this warning goes until 5:45 this evening. This is for radar indicated wind speed, still of 70 miles per hour on radar. We still have a potential for some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, even though on radar these have weakened slightly. There is still, when we had that gust of near 80 miles an hour in Kalamazoo, that definitely gets our attention just from a potential standpoint of what these storms are capable of today. 80 miles per hour is still consistent with a low end tornado as far as the wind speeds. And of course, even like hurricane wind speed strength. So that is definitely of concern. I wouldn't be shocked if we had an 80 mile per hour wind at the airport. I wouldn't be shocked if there were some outages starting to crop up. I'm sure there likely are, just given the situation with all the lightning and these really strong winds that are starting to advance through here. So cells have formed out ahead of the main line, and all of these still could produce some really strong wind speeds, 60 to 70 mile per hour. So Calhoun and Kalamazoo County, though, at least as of this moment, is of greatest concern. The reason why you got that alert on your phone is that's triggered when we have that destructive tag on a severe thunderstorm. Now, you would also get that similar alert where it's a loud alert that everyone gets. That's odd. You don't even have to have an app for that. That's through cell towers. That's through the emergency managers. When we see a severe thunderstorm warning capable of 80 miles per hour or stronger, most emergency management offices will still relay those alerts because that's a life-threatening hazard. Any severe thunderstorm arguably is a life-threatening hazard, but when you're starting to talk 80 miles per hour, that can do destructive damage, some higher end severe thunderstorm wind damage. I'm going to just survey what the National Weather Service is saying and relaying just to see if there's any new information. So it does also sound like Allegan County, part of Allegan County in the northeastern corner, was sounding the sirens for the potential for 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But the biggest wind gust that we've had reported so far came again from the Kalamazoo airport of 79 miles per hour. There was also a gust a little bit earlier as these storms were working their way on shore from Lake Michigan of 55 miles per hour. So again, Berry County is one of the latest to be added to this warning area. We're going to stay with this, by the way. Apologies to everyone that was on our Facebook and YouTube streams when I got that alert It actually killed the feed for a second. We're back though on there. So if you need to take your phone with you, we are streaming live on. Wow. Can we get Derek, the Kalamazoo camera, I think that is, that's just shaking like, yeah. So this is Kalamazoo currently. That camera is zoomed in on like Western's campus, the East Campus of Western. That's Heritage Hall that you're seeing. And you're getting a little bit more pronounced of a shake because it is zoomed in. However, just the fact it's moving around that much is definitely concerning. We're starting to hear the rain. So this is out associated with the main line. And I can actually, I'm going to try and, Derek, our director, I'm going to try and position that camera a little bit better here in just a second so we can kind of get a little bit of a better vantage point. Let's see. One moment, everybody. So what I'm trying to do is turn our camera into a slightly different direction where we can zoom out and see a little bit more of the action, if you will. But man, that camera is moving around. I have not seen it move around quite that much. So some really heavy rain, some gusty winds right into Kalamazoo currently. Are you playing with it right now, TJ? Okay, hold on one second. I don't know, someone else might have been trying to turn the camera. So yeah, I don't see anything as far as any like lowerings in the cloud, but very ominous skies over Kalamazoo right now. And you can kind of see this next line that's going to be advancing through. Derek, once you see our camera back in position, give it another 5 seconds. Go ahead and take that feed in Kalamazoo again, and you're going to see what looks to be this initial leading line of the storms. So go to that now. And yeah, these are really strong. I mean, I can't remember a time I've seen our camera shaking around that much, but these storms flowing into downtown Kalamazoo pretty much as we speak. Now, this is not a tornado threat right now, but still 60 to 70, possibly 80 mile per hour winds, certainly enough to bring down some larger trees, limbs, and do outages as well. So we want you taking these storms seriously, taking your tornado precautions almost, because I would treat this almost, especially with some of these cells. This is the cell that produced that 80 mile per hour wind at the airport, now into like the Richland area along M89 between Richland and Battle Creek. That is in the Gull Lake area right now. Gull Lake, hopefully everyone is getting to shore and getting inside. That's why I gave you that warning a little bit ago before these warnings were even issued, to get inside and off any sort of inland lakes. I would say that's a really good idea, even if you're not in any of these warnings right now. So if you're up in Eaton County, just north of Calhoun County there, I would still be getting inside and off of any inland lakes. And we're going to stay with this. This is such a impactful situation that's playing out right now that we're just going to stay on this, despite the fact, again, no active tornado emergency or tornado threat. However, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. Three Rivers, another area that's been seeing a ton of severe weather this season. Pocket of very intense cloud-to-ground lightning, likely some gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour there. The information on that warning for Branch and St. Joseph County, that one goes through 5:30 p.m. And technically Coldwater not under a warning yet, but if you're in Coldwater, if you're in Kinderhook, I would still be, definitely getting, like I said, inside, away from windows preferably. And these are just some spotty cells that formed out ahead of that main line that has been blowing inland from the lakeshore within the last several hours. We also have the cell that did that 79 mile per hour gust that is pushing towards the Springfield area of Battle Creek right now. Just went through, say, Galesburg, Ross Township, and we'll be entering into Battle Creek here shortly. We will get a visual on that here in a little bit. We'll see if our Battle Creek camera is shaking around quite as much as our Kalamazoo one. But down into Schoolcraft right now, Portage area, you're going to see some rain, some lightning picking up with some strong wind gust potential as well. I'm going to switch this over to velocity just really quick. So this is a look at wind direction and speed, and we can kind of look for some brighter greens together. I am curious to see what that radar looked like at the airport around 4 o'clock, just to see what I can make out. You know, what's interesting is that was a very, very confined area. So, man, even on radar, the presentation, that 79 mile per hour wind, I will say came as a bit of a surprise just based on what we were able to depict on radar, but sometimes that is the case. Sometimes those gusts are so low to the ground, they might happen very briefly. where the radar doesn't always depict it as well as some other features. But you can see still some really strong wind approaching Brady Township. That's right near like the Vicksburg area, for example, right now. I might be able to pull up that camera in Vicksburg here in just a few moments, but everyone regardless needs to be taking these storms seriously today. These are not just your garden variety thunderstorms. These are strong, severe storms today. These are stronger, by the way, than what we had late last night. Everyone, for the most part, under a severe thunderstorm watch through 10 p.m., but of course, a lot of these areas now under warnings. In fact, about half of our viewing area currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, the very latest on that, this line of storms has now advanced out of the lakeshore. We'll show you that once my radar loads. There we go. A lot of data it's pulling in right now. So the lakeshore, the immediate threat of strong wind is finished for now. There's still some lightning though, so you don't want to be venturing out currently. There's still a good amount of lightning and possibly as well some strong wind on the back edge of this that we'll watch for. However, the most prolific lightning concentrated in St. Joseph County, good amount of lightning advancing into Battle Creek as well. Berry County, you're just starting to see probably the gust front associated with this line of storms. And similarly, now we have a warning in Kent County. I did not touch on that yet, but Kent County now a warning through 5:45. This segment of storms that's through northeastern Allegan County that will push into Berry County, Yankee Springs, who just saw a bunch of outages and strong winds yesterday. Right now in the thick of it, that's the Gun Lake area. And again, this is just such poor timing given that it is a holiday weekend. It's a hot, humid day. I know that there were tons of people out on a lot of our beautiful inland lakes today. Hopefully, I'm certainly hoping that everyone kind of took these storms seriously as they started to develop and got on shore and to safe harbor. Because again, these are not storms you would want to be out on the water for numerous reasons, of course. Just the lightning, let alone, is enough to warrant a lot of concern. But then you couple that with the fact that we have wind gusts potentially 60 plus miles per hour. Very, very concerning situation there. Albion, there's a decent cell there. I would be expecting a severe thunderstorm warning to likely be rolled out here shortly from the National Weather Service for Branch County, or at least more of Branch County. But right now, some very prolific lightning encroaching on Three Rivers. That's like right on top of Meyer Broadway Park, for example, up towards about the high school in Three Rivers, and then extending out towards, say, Leonidas or the Mendon area. You're going to see some of these really strong wind gusts, and then also some really intense rain and lightning moving in shortly. Colon as well, you're in the thick of it, and then up towards Madison, Sherwood. These are all locations that has just been a long season for severe weather, and we are very aware of that. But right now, some of the strongest winds advancing out of the Vicksburg area towards, say, like Pavilion Township, and then that will be moving towards the Battle Creek area, some of which is already on top of Battle Creek. So there's just a lot of storms that are out there. You can see just how many warnings are currently in effect. And that's why we're staying on this like we would like a tornado warning situation, because this is just so prolific, so pronounced as far as the aerial coverage of these storms today that it's impacting so many of you that we want to make sure you're staying safe and that you have the very latest information. Let me show you, I'm going to try in just a few seconds pulling up Vicksburg, if you give me a second. And it just takes me a moment, but once I do that, we'll see how heavy that rain is looking in Vicksburg, which is in southern Kalamazoo County currently. Let's see, got to change a couple settings here on my end. Let's see what that's looking like. So yeah, definitely some just heavy rain currently. Let's see if I can get a little bit better of a view. Yeah, just dark and stormy currently. I don't see anything jumping off the page right now, at least in this view, although arguably the worst of the wind would have happened just a few moments ago in Vicksburg. But this is a look from the water tower in Kalamazoo County. This is Vicksburg, and you can see that heavy rain and some lightning, a few flashes right before I took this off in the distance there. Let me check in the storm reports just to see if any of these have filtered through from the National Weather Service. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag here, but yeah, here's some of the wind damage reports it looks like that are starting to come in, and also some wind gust reports. That one in Kalamazoo, again, the most impressive we've seen by far. Look at this. So, and the National Weather Service does believe this was legit. So we do not think this was a data error. 79-mile-per-hour wind at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport reported at 4:05 p.m. So that's enough to do considerable damage. That is consistent with a low-end tornado as far as the wind speed there. And it was not associated with a tornado. These were just really strong storms that flared up very quickly. You also have some cells that worked their way through the Saugatuck or the Holland area, so I'm going to check in on those. Saugatuck, there was a gust of 45, and Holland closer to 41 miles per hour, so a little less significant. But those are still strong storms, not to be taken lightly. A 60-mile-per-hour wind gust reported at South Haven Regional Airport, and I would even venture to guess that the wind could have been slightly stronger as that storm was working its way inland as well. So that's some great kind of verification of these warnings that are currently out there. Looks like the rain lightening up just slightly in Vicksburg, but we're going to go now to all of the warnings that are currently in effect, which there are a lot of them. An overwhelming amount extending from Kent County, Berry County, the eastern half of Allegan County, all of Kalamazoo, all of Calhoun County, all of St. Joseph County, and now more of Branch County, it looks like, added in that warning. These are all severe thunderstorm warnings. These are all for that potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, with the exception of Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties, for the threat of potentially up to 80 mile per hour winds. That is what triggered that alert on all of our cellular devices. Even if you don't have an app or anything like that, those come from the cell tower. It's oftentimes a loud and buzzing alert, similar to the alerts that you see for a tornado warning. They will sometimes do that if there is a potential for 80 mile per hour winds with a severe thunderstorm warning as well, which that is the case currently as it's playing out in Kalamazoo County and Calhoun County. These storms have a history, as we were just talking about, of at least some narrow pockets of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, as was observed at the airport. So I'm just going to continue to scan these. Looks like some of the stronger storms will encroach on East Leroy, Athens area. That's in Calhoun County now, but this is an area that I'm definitely watching. This will advance at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. That is M66 as it extends south of Battle Creek. So M66, if you live near there in Calhoun County, there's a storm to your north, but it's more this area that's of concern off to your immediate west that will be moving here very shortly into, again, M66 in Calhoun County. But anyone in these storms is going to be seeing a lot of lightning as well, similar to the storms last night. They're producing frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, which is a concern in and of itself. Concha down I-69 to Coldwater, now in a severe thunderstorm warning as well. That warning in the northern portion of Branch County includes Coldwater. That goes through 5 p.m. Okay, so that's a short-lived warning, interestingly enough. So they just kind of extended that little polygon to include Coldwater just for about the next 20 minutes or so, as that storm is expected to be out of Branch County, but there's still more behind it. That's what else is a little bit peculiar, perhaps, compared to some other stormy days, where sometimes you have a squall line where it's just a big line of storms that blows through. It's about 20, 25 minutes, and then you're out of it. That's not necessarily the setup today. We've seen multiple rounds. If you're in places like Kalamazoo County, if you're in Battle Creek, there's a nice cluster right on top of Battle Creek right now, but more rain and lightning behind that could still produce some strong winds. So once the first round of storms is finished in Coldwater, for example, you're still going to see another round behind it, capable of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, a lot of heavy rain, and then frequent lightning as well. So this is what's just some of the things that are making this a concerning situation for us here in West Michigan, and why we want you taking these storms very seriously within the next hour or two. Hopefully, most of these should be out of here. Looking off to the west, there's not much further development, which is a good sign. There's still some cloud-to-ground lightning in this, what we call a stratiform rain region, kind of behind the main pocket of thunderstorms that's severe warned. So if you're in Holland or South Haven, the immediate threat of 60 mile per hour winds is subsiding and finished. However, there's still some cloud-to-ground lightning there as well. It's a good uptick in lightning right on top of, say, like Wyoming, on the south side of Grand Rapids, into Kentwood as well. Caledonia, right approaching the airport there. That is where the radar is located. extending down through Thornapple, Yankee Springs, right on top of Gun Lake, a good amount of torrential rain, lightning. So these are all very popular locations right now, given that it is a holiday weekend. You have Battle Creek area with some very strong rain. This is a pocket of lightning that's worked its way through the Richland area, including Gull Lake. So again, I just hope everyone was off the boat and in their house if you were on any of our inland lakes today. Looks like I'm getting a weird data outage right now. Let me see if that's just a weird glitch on my end. Okay, that was something, I think just a quick little glitch because the warning got trimmed. So our little hiccup there with our radar data, but it's now back. You can see cold water. You're about to get rolled with some heavy rain, some lightning. You've already seen it, of course, but some more on the way. And when I look at velocity here, just to kind of give a quick glimpse, yeah, we're starting to see another little flare up, definitely. So if you see that, those brighter reds, we're talking about right here. So some of those locations I was kind of honed in on, M66 through Calhoun County, south side of Battle Creek down towards East Lorite, the Athens area, eventually Union City as well. We'll get to you here in just a second. However, this pocket that you see here, that's starting to flare up a little bit. So this could start to produce yet again some 60 plus mile per hour winds. And what I can do here, I do want to just sample this area and give you an idea of what the radar is sort of depicting. So what I'm doing on my end is I'm just clicking some of these brighter areas, and that's 44 miles per hour. But what some of these storms have done tonight, or today, that gust of 79 at the airport, there was not much to indicate that on radar on our end. So, this is like at bare minimum, still some decently strong wind gusts, but I still think these could be even overperforming based on their presentation on radar. So just keep that in mind as far as what's out there right now. Let me check in with the National Weather Service and just survey to see if they have any new reports. It looks like about a 50 mile per hour wind gust at the Gerald R. Ford International Airport in Grand Rapids. So, yeah, about 30 mile per hour, 35 mile per hour sustained from the southwest, gusting up to about 50 to 55 possibly at the Grand Rapids Airport. And, okay. And once, they're indicating, some of the forecasters with the National Weather Service kind of reiterating the point that even once kind of oftentimes with thunderstorms, the worst wind is right along kind of the leading edge of that storm. They're indicating, though, with these storms, that strong wind could last as much as about 20, 25, 30 minutes after kind of the leading edge, if you will, blows through due to something called the rear inflow jet. So basically just really strong wind in that rain-cooled section behind the leading edge that's really starting to become a little bit more dominant. And that might be what we were just looking at as far as that flare up in intensity a little bit, approaching Calhoun County, exiting Kalamazoo County. A lot of lightning as well near Girard. That's right near Union City as well. So Union City is right on the border. There it is. It finally populated, but Union City is right here. So good amount of thunder and lightning off to your south. You're also in that severe thunderstorm warning. And there's just a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings to go around right now. That is for sure. And the Calhoun County warning goes through 5:30. The Kent County warning goes through 5:45. And then Berry County, I believe, was through 5:30 or 5:45 as well. There for wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. Hastings area, for example, you've missed out on the storms for the most part so far. They're arriving now. And that latest scan showing some wind gust potential pushing into Hastings as we speak. Battle Creek area as well. Derek, our director, if you could pull up a side-by-side eventually when you can with Battle Creek, I would just be curious to see what that camera is looking like whenever you get the moment. And then also down into, like I said, northern Branch County definitely has my attention on the north side of Coldwater, between Coldwater and Girard. That's a little spike in lightning. Sometimes those spikes in lightning can kind of speak to intensification in some of these storms, and we're definitely seeing that right now in Branch County. There's a look in downtown Battle Creek. Just looks like a heavy curtain of rain. Hard to make out there though, because we're looking at mostly buildings, but sometimes when you see like trees and things starting to really move around, that can be, again, indicative of those really strong wind speeds. So in St. Joseph County as well, there's some pretty impressive storms and a lot of frequent lightning still on Three Rivers. And I think Three Rivers, you've been in it now for at least about 15, 20 minutes. The really heavy rain, the frequent lightning, and probably still some strong wind gusts there as well. So this is a very widespread event. This extends all the way from Berry County through Kalamazoo, Calhoun, St. Joseph, and Branch counties. This Branch County region is definitely flared up too, right on top of Coldwater. Those look very similar to, again, the cells that produce some really strong winds over Kalamazoo, even though their radar presentation wasn't necessarily indicating the potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds, which was what was observed just after 5 p.m. at the Kalamazoo airport. Everyone was under a severe thunderstorm watch for the most part, and that is still in effect to my knowledge. I'm just checking that really quickly. Yeah, everyone's still under the severe thunderstorm watch from the National Weather Service through 10 p.m. But of course, now that we have all these warnings, that's kind of taken center stage. South Haven cooled off, by the way, about 20 degrees. It was about 89 degrees when we first started this live stream a little bit earlier. Now it's 69 degrees with a water temperature of 72. And you can definitely see the rain has sort of weakened in South Haven. It was great to see so many boaters rushing into the Black River Channel as these storms were approaching. But right now, we'll jump back to live Doppler radar. And right now, Allegan County, you've been dropped out of the warning, Van Buren County out of the warning, and most of Cass County also. The immediate threat is subsiding. Now, I will also mention, I'm really hoping, I know there's a big concern for Light Up the Lake tonight and whether or not we see some more storms. I'm really hoping that this round will kind of work us over a little bit and hopefully prevent some additional development later into the evening. Can't completely rule it out, and you can kind of see there's a good amount of lightning still, even in that rainy region from Holland down towards South Haven, so you're not under a warning, but still a good amount of lightning. However, I don't see much further development off in Illinois or Wisconsin, which is a great sign. Sometimes, like I said, these big storm complexes, they kind of like work over the environment. They use up some of the juice or the energy for these storms. And so it can be harder for another round to develop once this more widespread event takes place. So that's what we're certainly hoping for, where we can hopefully still get off some fireworks displays later tonight. But right now, we still have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. Berry County, Southern Kent, Ione County also now under a warning. That's a new one. Also Eaton County, all of Eaton County. Ione County, though, your warning goes until 6:15. The radar indicated wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour. And again, these storms still have that history of 60 to 70 plus mile per hour wind speeds. And even that one, just at about 4:05 at the Kalamazoo airport, of 79 miles per hour, which is very impressive. Let's see. So yeah, they also just issued that warning for Eaton County. So if you're in Eaton County, you are now under a all-encompassing severe thunderstorm warning that goes also till 6:15. So that matches the warning timing for Ione County. Berry County, who, like I said, is still, in some cases, likely cleaning up from storms last night, now another round rolling on through. So not a great situation there. Sometimes as well, another thing we can sometimes see that I'm going to start to kind of look for. We were talking about this initial line. It was a line, almost cluster of storms that worked its way onshore of Lake Michigan. Now out ahead of it, we saw some additional cells firing, like this one that's down in Coldwater, for example, or Branch County. Occasionally, when storms out ahead of that main line fire and become more mature, as that leading edge of the main line kind of catches up to them, sometimes you can kind of see what's called like cell mergers, or those storms' momentum kind of working together. And so you can kind of see a flare up of intensity. And so that's something else we have to kind of be on guard for. Now that the main line is starting to catch up to these cells out ahead of it, that could help bolster their intensity slightly in the next, I would say, 30 minutes or so. This cell right now, I would say the strongest that I'm seeing on radar presentation is still over Coldwater, I-69 in Branch County, just from a torrential rain, lightning, and then potentially some gusts up to 70 or possibly even 80 miles per hour. Although the warning that includes Branch County, their wording from the National Weather Service in northern Indiana is gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So they're a little less bullish as far as the wind threshold there. But Kalamazoo County, the worst is starting to push out of Kalamazoo County. It's right on top of Battle Creek right now. And that probably is, like I said, blowing some stuff around, at least probably 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's what you at least want to prepare for at the very least. And then Marshall eventually, Albion, this line will be approaching you here shortly. If I were to put a track on this, just this leading edge, this kind of next round, if you're in Marshall or Albion, it's actually, this cell is moving at about 45. So the Marshall area, for example, at about 40 or 504, you'll see another round of some strong wind and lightning, heavy rain work its way through. And then Albion, close to about 519 or so for your vicinity. So this is an ongoing situation. We're oftentimes monitoring chat with the National Weather Service, with local emergency managers, and not much new to report there, other than, again, them just talking about the potential that even after these storms begin at your location, they could still have kind of prolonged gusty winds upwards of maybe 25 minutes or so after some of the wind picks up, which is a little peculiar. Like I said, a lot of times with severe thunderstorms, it's maybe the first 5 minutes or so that's really intense as far as that wind and heavy rain, and then the wind will start to kind of die down. You'll still see the heavy rain and lightning. These could last a little bit longer than that from a high wind potential. And as I was saying as well earlier, sometimes if these cells start to die down, they become more downdraft dependent, that rain cooled air surging out from the base of the thunderstorm, sometimes within just minutes, can flare up and cause something called downbursts. So it's like I said, rain cooled air, it's higher density air surging down from the thunderstorm, and then that tends to produce some wind damage beneath the base. So that's also something we have to really be on guard for. I honestly think that could have been what we saw in Kalamazoo at the airport. We could have had some sort of even a microburst, which is basically a very localized area of rain. And a quick note, handoff from our news director, and we're kind of evaluating what the situation is going to be for our News Channel 3 Live at 5 newscast. For our directors, for our producers, what I would say is I think we stay on this for at least the next 5 to 10 minutes. And then if I don't get additional updates from the National Weather Service, I think we can probably go into our News Channel 3 Live at 5. And we'll just kind of continue to touch on this throughout our newscast. That's kind of how I'm leaning, given that there's not much new to update. It's, if you're under these warnings, you need to be just taking them seriously, getting to a well-structured building. They still have, again, some really strong wind gusts. And even during our newscast, while we'll try and give you the news, we'll be cutting into our newscast, of course, to give you those weather updates as well on the ongoing threats. However, I-69 in Coldwater right now, some pretty intense rain, thunderstorms, and still that potential for some 60 mile per hour winds. I'll get the latest on that again. We haven't had too much reports of hail. I will mention a lot of these warnings have that mention of hail up to an inch. I haven't seen much evidence of that so far. It's not to say it's not possible, but I just haven't seen too much of that. And I want to switch this back over to velocity. We're starting to get a flare up there right near Fredonia. So what we look for on this map is just those brighter shades of red or green. The leading edge of wind right now just blew through Lake Odessa, for example. It's pushing into Eaton County. So that's the Barry-Eaton County line. Eaton County, you're now under that warning through 6:15. So the Bellevue area right now, in the next couple minutes, you'll see a flare up of wind, for example. That's on the north side of Battle Creek. Penfield, probably some gusty winds. Right now, the worst of the wind, it appears, is a little southeast of Battle Creek in Newton, and then approaching Fredonia within the next few minutes. That would, to me, jump off as the most likely pocket of possibly some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And that's not shocking given the radar presentation, which looks like this in that vicinity. So those storms are surging through Calhoun County. They're going to be encroaching on I-69 here shortly. And right along that leading edge, out ahead of it, we're starting to see that wind really pick up. And I do want to sample this. And what I mean by sample is just get kind of a analysis of that little pocket right here. And we'll see what the wind is doing. Yep. So that is some 63 mile per hour winds. So that's intensified yet again. And that's why we have these severe thunderstorm warnings. They can really flare up in a matter of minutes. And so just a few moments ago, we scanned this and it was showing, I think, closer to about 45 to 50. And now it's yet again picked up to 63 mile per hour wind speeds indicated within that thunderstorm. That is enough to do some damage to even some kind of medium-sized trees and larger tree limbs that can be brought down in those sort of wind speeds. And that's why we have these warnings to give you that alert. But down into Burlington as well, some pretty potent wind. That's going to be crossing I-69 in a matter of minutes. And that is perpendicular to I-69, of course, in the direction of travel. So that's of concern for some of our semi-truck drivers and things of that nature. Hopefully a little less of them maybe out there on a holiday weekend, but we know those our semi-drivers are out at all hours of the day, and we appreciate all that they do. But yeah, not a great situation as we have, again, 60 plus mile per hour wind speeds indicated here that are going to blow across I-69 here shortly. I would say to our producers prepping for News Channel 3 live at 5, if we could just prepare to have a weather hit kind of later in the block, I think we're going to be in a good position. I'll probably take this for another minute or two, and then we can segue into our newscast. Because again, there's not much new to report. We're just going to continue to monitor this situation, and we'll have another update here in just a second. But because there are no tornado warnings, and the threat will eventually, hopefully, within the next hour or so, be pushing east of our area, at least for now, I feel comfortable that we can go on with our newscast and again, just provide some updates. So the current situation, we have warnings in a lot of West Michigan. I'm going to wipe away the radar just for a second. If you're in any of these polygons, bottom line, inside, don't be outside. There's really strong wind gust potential. So Calhoun, Kalamazoo County, you're under the warning at least through about 5:30. They're beginning to trim that warning in Berry County. Let's look a little farther north. So Eaton County, that warning goes through 6:15. And similar thing for southern Ionia County through about 6:15. And then you can kind of see this area of St. Joseph County, for example. That warning is going to go through at least 5:30. It will likely get trimmed a little earlier than that for Three Rivers. So this ongoing situation, we're going to continue to monitor it. I'll stay on our live feed as well. I'll be prepping some graphics for our upcoming forecast. So right now, we'll send it over. We have Remington Hernandez in the studio. We'll welcome him in if we're able to do that and start our News Channel 3 live at 5.
Hello, West Michigan. Like Will said, I'm Remington Hernandez, and the big story is, of course, the weather. It's not cooperating for events tonight. Storms carrying the lightning and thunder, and they moved right through South Haven. This is thousands gathered for Light Up the Lake, and that includes our photographer and our reporter, Colin Roots. They're live from South Haven. Colin, what's it like out there?
Right, and everyone is just waiting out the storm here. We drove in at about 4 o'clock. The Zach and there was a downpour. Here's what things look like right now. Now, the rain has seen a little bit of a slowdown, and there is some light peeking out from the horizon there. We are seeing many flashes of lightning across the sky, and there are still many shares and blankets out here that were left when that rain started coming down. Many people were packing up in a hurry to have that rain move in, but some people are still out here waiting out the storm. And unfortunately, this is all happening hours before events. Now, South Haven did say in a social media post this afternoon that they are planning to continue with Light Up the Lake tonight on the beach. However,
All right, thank you, Colin. Stay safe out there. Well, a ton of people are also gathered in Allegan for the Jubilee Parade and fireworks, and we just received word that the parade has been canceled. Weather once again being the culprit, but not everything is canceled. News Channel 3's Abigail Taylor is there now. Let's last night's storms, everything from trees that have fallen down to power lines.
Sorry about the audio, everybody.
In South Haven. It's been a long day for those out in the sea between the storms moving through, and it feels like temperatures are going to climb into the triple digits. As Tyler Drummond explains, people were cleaning up and sweating it out.
All right, everybody. Sorry about this. I was trying to do something and the audio wasn't coming through. I am kind of prepping our graphics for our news hits as well, but right now this is all we're doing anyway, so stand by. Oh, I know Troy. Troy. I'm going to have to message him. All right. That guy that was just on our newscast. Let's see. Let me flip something back. So this is Tyler's package from Berry County, which the irony here, of course, is that they saw strong storms last night with a lot of tree damage, which that's what this gentleman he's speaking with right now is talking about. The fact that they saw damage yesterday and are picking up the pieces, and now they're having another round work its way through. Hey, David, how's the outage map looking? Okay, wow. 55,000 without power currently. Does this go right to me, David? Is this right to me?
It does look like it goes right to you.
Thanks, dude. All right, we're giving you another update on the storms working their way through West Michigan. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect. Some of these very potent as well. Through Kalamazoo County, these storms produced 79 mile per hour gusts. At least one of those confirmed at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport. That speaks to the potential of some of these storms today. Some 70 plus mile per hour winds, nothing to scoff at. Right now, Calhoun County, you are very much seeing some strong storms working their way through. There was a flare-up in terms of intensity on our radar product here, right in the heart of Calhoun County, and it continues to look that way. Marshall, some very strong wind speeds working their way on through, and that area of orangish yellow that you see there is that potential of possibly some 60-plus mile per hour winds, those narrow pockets over Marshall area, and then extending all the way up into Eaton County as well. That's where this leading edge of really strong wind is currently located. What I'm referencing here is this, kind of encroaching on, say, the Brookfield area of Eaton County. I'll zoom this out, and again, you're going to see these areas near Marshall that definitely have my concern right now. If we could also, Derek, at some point get up the chroma, if you could, that would be great. However, let me get a radar scan of some of these wind speeds just to see, because this was kind of picking up in intensity yet again. And right on top of I-69, still some 64 mile per hour wind speeds. That is definitely of concern for anyone on I-69 right now in Calhoun County. That is what, again, is the concern here. These really strong wind gusts in the coming hours, and about the next hour, I should say, should be, again, kind of winding down. Let me flip this back to kind of our regional view, and you can kind of see where these storms are starting to flare up again in terms of their wind speed, extending through Ionia, Eaton, and then down I-69 into Calhoun and Branch counties as well. And you can really see these are going to pack a punch as far as the wind, the torrential rain, and then frequent lightning in addition to that. Now, as far as temperatures right now, the one benefit, I guess, is that it's starting to break the heat a little bit. We've dropped about 20 degrees in Kalamazoo. And of course, that feels like temperature, not really much of a factor. It's now 70 degrees there. You know, briefly, before these storms rolled in, pretty much as they were rolling in, the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, upped our severe storm potential to a level 3 category for our region. That, again, speaks to kind of that upper end potential for some strong wind gusts up to about 70 plus miles per hour. Additionally, we do have this severe thunderstorm watch. I will mention this has not been dropped for our lakeshore counties. Despite the fact that this leading wave has worked its way through, you're still under that watch. Now, typically, a lot of times these lines work their way through, these clusters move through, and then the watch starts to be canceled. However, there's still some potential, at least enough potential, that we could see some further development off to our west into the later evening hours. That's likely why they haven't completely canceled that watch. Until we're highly confident that we're not going to see much additional storm development behind this big cluster of storms, if you want to call it that, I expect that watch to continue. So again, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect. And if I just strip away the radar, you can kind of see these orange areas. All of Calhoun County, all of Eaton County still under this severe thunderstorm warning. And then the I-69 stretch through Branch County and east as well under severe thunderstorm warnings. These warnings extending all the way into the southeastern corner of Kent County and Ionia County. As far as that Ionia County warning, that was one of the last warnings to be issued at about 6:15. And one thing I will show you really quickly, the storm reports that were coming in, some of these were confirmed wind gust reports. We have a couple damage reports, it looks like, also to tell you about. These are new and being relayed to the National Weather Service. So I'm clicking on this one initially. That's in like the, Plainwell area. It does look like trees and large branches down on roads in and around Plainwell. And again, the just insult to injury fact here is that the Plainwell area up through Berry and then eventually southern Berry County yesterday saw a lot of damage too. There's at least one hail report as well to relay. Let's see how big these hailstones were. 1-inch hail being reported in the Galesburg area. That was at about 4:30. So that's definitely, that's the first report of substantial hail we've seen. That was likely, as that storm really flared up, that would have been likely the same storm that produced the 79 mile per hour wind gusts at the airport. So pretty much all airports, even the small ones, they have real-time weather observation equipment, something called an ASOS. And this was at a station at the, again, Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport at 4:05, 79 miles per hour. At last check, and this was just even a couple minutes ago, 55,000 folks without power, according to the Consumer's Energy outage map. And that number has likely climbed even a little bit in the last few minutes. So this is an ongoing situation. We had numerous gusts as well, close to the lakeshore, over 50 miles per hour. We're going to continue to just kind of sit on this because this flare-up that I'm seeing in terms of wind speed through Calhoun County, definitely concerning, 60-plus mile per hour, approaching the Albion area. So if you're in Albion, Marshall's feeling it right now. And like I was saying, this is kind of a several minutes long of some strong wind gust potential. It's not like it's just going to be a minute or two. This could be prolonged for maybe upwards of 20 to 25 minutes after the leading edge works its way through. There's numerous pockets here that are starting to be of concern for the greatest potential right now, at least currently, of 60 mile per hour winds. Similar thing happening in Eaton County, I will mention. So again, just extending farther north up I-69 through Charlotte area right now, probably some 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts blowing through Charlotte. This line that extends all the way into Ionia County, the wind speed, these brighter shades of red, a little less pronounced here in Ionia County. But, Ionia, you're still under that severe thunderstorm warning. But definitely Calhoun County has the greatest concern right now. And also down into Coldwater and Branch County. That would include like Algansey, for example. You're in a severe thunderstorm warning, and then all the way down to about Kinderhook. That's where kind of the southern periphery of these storms extends down to. So we're going to continue to keep you updated. David, if you want to tell me what you where you want to go from here. However, if we want to just stay on this, I am A-okay with that. So we are going to continue to just keep you updated regarding these storms. I do think within the next 30 minutes to an hour, the bulk of these severe thunderstorm warnings should be exiting our viewing area. Some of the last bit of them right now pushing through Branch and Calhoun counties. Actually, probably within the next about 30 minutes, we'll see most of these warnings exiting our viewing area. So we have just a little bit longer, about 15, 20 minutes, I think, until we can kind of get a little bit of a pause and a little bit of a breather before we turn our attention to another round of possible storms later this evening. But like I said, my hope is that this will really work over the atmosphere a little bit, and that should inhibit some storm development on the back end. I'm going to gather my thoughts on that and look at some of the latest model data, and we'll have an update regarding Light Up the Lake and the potential for storms even after this round coming up a little bit after the break. All right, everybody. We're flying by the seat of our pants, Remington. Remington's here filling in. Say hi, Remington.
Hi.
That's Remington off in the distance. Remington's our Lansing statewide political reporter. So he's in the house.
Hello,
hi,
everyone.
Remington. Yeah. Thanks for coming in, man.
Of course.
You got a fun day.
Okay.
Lot of action. All right, so I have to prep a couple graphics, everybody. So you're going to see some of that here in just a second. Actually, what I'm going to do, just so you guys don't get confused.
You still leading with me, guys? We're gonna go back to
Hold on, everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, David. So a lot of things happening that you guys don't see, but we're also on TV right now. All right. So if I'm talking, then all of a sudden shut up. That's because David, our producer, is talking to me in my ear. But we are in a newscast right now, so we have to kind of manage two things at once. So right now I'm prepping some graphics for my next hit on TV, and that's why currently I'm not showing my graphics, because some of them I have to update a little bit just for our next segment, where I don't want something to say the wrong thing or say the wrong date or something, and then someone gets confused. So give me just a second here. I'm going to try and show the contrast of Coldwater to South Haven. South Haven is actually starting to clear up a little bit. We'll get back into radar. We're going to talk about the 4th a little bit. This has been a whirlwind of a day, and more reasons than one. All right. Let's see. So we're in our newscast if you want to watch it. And then, okay, this is caught up. Good. Good. Okay. I really hope this pans out. One thing I'll say, I'm about to show this on TV. Also, I didn't put on makeup, so my forehead is very shiny. I'm very optimistic for Light Up the Lake tonight, which I'll talk about in just a second. So we're back in our newscast. That's why I can't really talk as much.
We have developing news on the east side of the state. Multiple outlets reporting tonight that 2 people are dead after a shooting at Fairlane Town Center in Dearborn. Several others hurt. Police are now asking people to avoid that mall as they investigate the scene. That mall has been placed on lockdown. Henry Ford Medical Center Fairlane also currently on lockdown. As I said, this is a developing situation, and police say the scene does remain active.
Hey, David.
We'll pass along any updates on this case as we learn more.
David,
And
can you
it
remind me
happened
what I'm
until early
after?
this morning. I know I was there, 19 hours after the session started.
David.
But the Michigan House has passed a budget that appears the governor will sign into law. The budget totals $75.2 billion, including a general fund total of $14.1 billion and a school aid budget of $19.8 billion. Some of the highlights of the new budget include record investments in education, rolling back the retirement tax, and initiatives to protect access to health care and ensure the future sustainability of Medicaid. Republican State Representative Steve Frisbee of District 44, which covers parts of Battle Creek, supports the $250 increase per student in funding. And he says while past increases have not led to higher reading scores, he thinks this time will be different.
Hey, David, can you hear me? David. Oh, you're good. What am I after again? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Cool. Thank you.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer is also reacting to the budget. In a statement, she says in part, quote, "This budget builds on our progress by strengthening student literacy, opening doors for more housing opportunity, protecting health care, fixing our dam roads, and lowering costs for all Michiganders." I'll have more on the details of this new state budget coming up later. Tonight, there's an active investigation in Wayland after a family says fireworks were stolen from a tent. Employees tell us up to $1,000 of property is missing, and police are now looking for a suspect. News Channel 3's Carter Landis has more on this story and how the community is coming together to help.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Shoot, man. Yeah, I can. I heard you.
Will and I doing a chat?
Can you pull up a PCR? Is it? All right. Oh my gosh. Hold on. What's up?
Remington, can you pull up a KDPS post your phone?
Yeah.
We're sending a crew to a partial building collapse in Kalamazoo. We weren't sure if you can add that and just read from it.
Yeah.
After me? Hold on. Stand by.
I don't know when he's gonna do it.
Well, we are continuing to monitor the storms that are out there currently. I want to show you the look in Coldwater right now. That I-69 stretch in Branch County, definitely feeling the effects of these storms, the heavy rain, the lightning, and then the potential for some gusts 60 miles per hour or stronger. Currently a severe thunderstorm warning there. And of course, that water temperature, forgot to turn that out from this view, which is South Haven. We're actually starting to see the back edge of some of these showers and storms starting to encroach on the lakeshore. So the lightning threat within the next, I would say 30 minutes, if you're at the lakeshore, should be winding down. But there still is some cloud ground lightning being indicated, even behind this, of course, severe line of storms through portions of Eaton County now, exiting Calhoun County, exiting Branch County, pushing into some of these counties just out of our viewing area. But you can still see some decent lightning here across Ottawa, Allegan, and Van Buren counties. That's why we don't still want you venturing out. If you even have damage, just wait it out for a little bit longer until you can start picking up some of the tree limbs and things like that that may be down in your yard. And what I want to do now is show you the hour by hour. It's doing a pretty good job of showing kind of the leading edge of this right now, currently exiting portions of Calhoun and Branch counties. This will exit within the next, I would say, 30 minutes to an hour. By 7 p.m., portions of the east side of the state may be seeing numerous severe thunderstorm warnings just for travel implications late tonight. These are going to continue to, I think, push off to the east through the late evening hours. Of course, given that it's a holiday weekend, I would expect some of our roads to be rather busy. Now, 10 p.m. tonight, this is the timestamp. This is why I'm optimistic. It's not showing much redevelopment by 10 p.m. And I don't think they've made an official call yet on Light Up the Lake. So to my knowledge, I think that's still going off unless, we see some further development. They will still need to monitor that very closely. I can't completely rule it out, although this model run at least pretty optimistic that we should hopefully hold off in any sort of lightning threat through the later evening hours. As I go into the overnight hours, though, we may see another round of some showers and thunderstorms, especially near and south of I-94, flare up yet again overnight through early tomorrow morning. So if you hear some thunder, some lightning overnight, I'm a little less concerned with that, given that we're kind of out of the peak instability, the peak energy for these storms to work with. However, it is definitely something of note. So when we talk about Light Up the Lake tonight, I would say temperatures could rebound a little bit into the lower 80s, although that's probably optimistic as far as that storm threat is concerned. As we look ahead to the 4th of July as well, there's another low-end threat of severe storms, but mainly I think off to our south now for tomorrow, so that's good, that's promising. But I do think we could make a run at about 90 for Saturday. So it's another scorcher tomorrow, still ample humidity. The heat will really start to break on Sunday with some scattered and even numerous thunderstorms possible. I would put that especially likely in the first half of the day. So again, this will be a still very hot, very muggy weekend with some storm chances, although neither Saturday or Sunday should be a complete washout. So that's what I'll give you that silver lining there as we continue to track all of these showers and storms. And we did also just get some confirmation of some damage in the Kalamazoo area. I'll get to that here in just a moment. I just wanted to show you the 7-day forecast, some slightly cooler air on the way for next week, with, again, some scattered storms on the way this weekend. Remington, you have some of that breaking news that I want to relay.
Yes, well, breaking news, KDPS has confirmed that crews are en route to an apartment building, a partial apartment building collapse in the 200 block of East Lincoln Street. At this time, the KDPS says that a tree fell onto a home and has reportedly trapped at least one female patient. So firefighters and police en route to that.
Okay.
And also, I'm hearing that there are 68,000 power outages in West Michigan.
Yeah.
And roughly half of those, Van Buren, Kalamazoo, and Calhoun counties.
Okay, that makes total sense. Given that the most intense wind speeds that we had confirmed came from the lakeshore of Van Buren County through Kalamazoo County, and now are pushing out of Calhoun County. So it was really this core that I would say had some of the most potent wind speeds, even from earlier on, kind of when these storms were out over Lake Michigan. There was a pocket offshore of South Haven, offshore of Berrien County that definitely caught my eye. So yeah, and an unfortunate situation there. We'll continue to, I think we have a crew headed that way, you mentioned. So we'll continue to give you some updates there. But yeah, we'll continue to monitor this as these warnings do continue. But right now we still have portions of Branch County in that severe thunderstorm warning. That will likely get trimmed here very shortly. So just for reference, I know there's a lot going on the map. Here's Branch County here, and then here's Coldwater, here's I-69. The leading edge is certainly out of Branch County, so that is a good sign there. So the wind should hopefully start to die down here shortly. For Albion, though, Albion kind of on the far eastern periphery of our viewing area, you're still in the thick of it right now. Some heavy rain, some lightning, some gusty winds. But the fact of the matter is this line, the leading edge, is starting to advance out of our area. So now the question becomes, do we see more development off to the west and southwest, which we're starting to see at least a few little showers, not much to speak of right now in Chicago. That's what I'll be monitoring here now once this round is exiting, for any further development for later evening hours, and of course implications for those firework displays. Right now we're going to send you back to break. We'll have the very latest here coming up. All right, apologies everybody that you didn't have radar. Hi Keith.
Too late. If
You,
I am,
a
it's okay.
little bit. No, it's okay.
Okay.
Uh,
I don't have power, so I'm like,
Keith doesn't have power, so he wanted to come hang out.
if I don't have power, I don't have water. So
All right, sorry everybody. I forgot to bring this back in, and that is totally my bad.
Okay.
Okay. David, could we? Hey, David. Is this, so we're like in the 5:30? So we're treating it like a normal 5:30? Kind of? Okay, ish.
Except you started, he said. Instead of me.
Okay. Yeah, this will be fairly quick, I think. Yeah, sorry. Managing the newscast and the live stream. Oh boy.
I'm here if you need, but if you don't, that's cool too.
Um,
No, seriously, I just am like, I was sitting at home. I've been cleaning up my garage.
just
So I'm like dirty.
check for any like damage. Because I can't really
You got
do
the
that.
chat over there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let me go over there.
There's a lot of
Just
just trees and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay. I'm tossing zero.
okay, thanks. Yeah. Partial building to, where is Glengyle Street, Keith?
East Glendale.
East Glendale.
Glendale?
Glendale.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Glengyle.
Yeah, that's in Parchment.
I've never heard of that. Okay. Are you using the cameras?
I am. Wait, hold on. Let me think. No. Not in this hit.
So I'm gonna call it the chat on this one. All right?
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. Hey, can you guys take me at Chroma? Sorry, I just thought of that.
Hello, West Michigan. Thank you for giving it here on News Channel 3 live at 5:30. I'm running today. Guys, we're going to head straight over to meteorologist Will Haney as he continues to follow that developing weather situation. Will?
Yeah, Remington, in the back edge of these storms now pushing out of South Haven. We're starting to see a little bit of light on the horizon there, a sign of optimism that hopefully Light Up the Lake can still go off tonight. We're going to keep you updated there. Max wind gusts as these storms were coming in. These are confirmed gusts from area airports. Look at the 79 mile per hour gusts at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport. 59 mile per hour at Battle Creek, which is still severe threshold. So some of the worst of these storms really blew through portions of Van Buren. 60 mile per hour gusts there at the airport. And again, the track, if there was one, of some of the most intense wind, Van Buren, Kalamazoo, and Calhoun counties, which is what we were just relaying a little bit ago, that's where the highest concentration of outages is currently located, which really speaks to who saw some of the worst storms. Right now, we still have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings, although what I will say is that the worst is starting to exit our viewing area. As you can see, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings now extending out towards kind of the south central portion of the lower peninsula, and eventually will push into the eastern lower peninsula. Currently, our temperature is only 69 in Kalamazoo. I say only, that's some of the coolest air we've seen in about a week or so. If, of course, the temperatures dropped about 20 degrees as these storms rolled through, as you might expect. Now, as we look, this was our severe weather outlook, upgraded to a level 3 of 5 risk for this area of southern Michigan that included our area. I do think this is likely the stronger of a potential another round possible tonight. I emphasize possible. It's definitely not a guarantee. However, a severe thunderstorm watch does extend through 10 p.m. I think once this leading edge is kind of out of our area, we'll be able to kind of gather our thoughts a little bit, going through some of the data. I'm sure that's exactly what the National Weather Service is currently doing. They may be evaluating whether or not we see some of the counties near the lakeshore trimmed from this watch, and I'll be looking for clarification from them on whether or not they anticipate the concern of this second possible round, which I'll show you here in just a second. But as we look at live Doppler radar, again, this leading edge is starting to push out of our viewing area. And what I can do now is show you that hour by hour view, and we'll try and give you a timing of things. And this is kind of an optimistic scenario where this leading edge blows on out of here, this big cluster we've been dealing with for the last couple hours. And then hopefully we remain quiet with temperatures possibly rebounding a little bit through about sunset. This would be 10 o'clock as they're gearing up for Light Up the Lake in South Haven. This is just one model's take. But you can see into the overnight hours, possibly some further development, close to about midnight, 1 a.m., creeping in from the southwest. These storms would be, again, similar to last night, prolific lightning makers and also really heavy rain in pockets. However, I think it's a little less likely they will pack quite the punch that this current round did as far as the higher end wind threshold. It's possible we see some 60-mile-per-hour winds, although I would say that would be rather unlikely or uncommon in a sort of scenario that we just saw. So Light Up the Lake, hopefully those rain chances decreasing in the coming hours. That is certainly the hope. But right now you want to stay inside as there still is a good amount of lightning. Remington, we'll send it back to you with the very latest.
All right, thank you, Will. Well, an update for anyone that was planning on going to the Kalamazoo Speedway tonight for fireworks. That event has been canceled. It's one of several canceled after these storms. That decision was sent out by Great Lakes Racing Promotions just before noon today. Organizers say they've been watching the weather closely and that it's best for the safety of everyone involved if they cancel. If you bought a ticket through the My Race Pass, they say it's been automatically refunded. And if you have questions on a refund, they ask you to contact them and not the Kalamazoo Speedway office. We're learning tonight that another woman is dead, marking the fourth inmate in less than 2 months to die while incarcerated at the Huron Valley Correctional Facility. 62-year-old Delphina Jones died this week at Trinity Health Hospital. The Michigan Department of Corrections calls this death unexpected. Courtney Bennett has
Hey, Keith, watch your step over here. There's a wet spot.
Okay.
Um,
I'll just keep monitoring these people. It looks like you said it's pretty small.
Yeah. So everybody on the stream, this is a little tricky because we're managing our newscast as I was describing and also the stream. So what I'm trying to do is prep a few graphics. Keith, you know what actually would be really helpful? Can you update like the tonight, tomorrow graphics and then like the 7-day, just put the 4th?
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten to that yet.
With this one, do you have a sheet? for
I don't. I never even got to it.
this? Okay.
So,
Let me just work off this. Jeff?
yeah, I would say tonight, tonight, overnight, I would say another round. Here, don't do it on my end. Sorry. Pull up.
Max.
Yeah, go on max 2 and then maybe do it. Let me think about this. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll do it on. I'll pull up my show. And I'll show you.
Is he on wind dial?
Yeah, that's you're too late, you're too late.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, continuing to follow breaking news, Tyler Brummett is live on the scene of a partial building collapse in Parchment where first responders are stationed right now. Tyler, what can you tell us?
Here, this if you could do the tonight and tomorrow. Do that just for 4th of July. That's what I was trying to do.
Do the,
Um,
do hot?
just I was trying to put the 4th of July icon.
Yeah.
Just
On
pull that
Saturday.
up. Yep. Hey everybody, sorry. So man, one thing of note. Currently, there's now a tornado warning southeast of Lansing. That's of note. That is for Ingham County. So anyone that just so happens to be watching there, there's now, but that's not in our area.
Do you want me to give it that 20 pop?
I would leave the 20 pop, but yeah,
Okay.
I just
The 4th of July thing is.
yep. And then just do the tonight and tomorrow should be right above that. For tonight, Keith, I would do like another additional storms or something, and then warm and muggy or something. And then tomorrow, I would say like, yes, scattered storms.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So you guys can't see this, but it is alive right now. So Tyler Brummett is live right now in Parchment for that partial building collapse, and happy to report that the woman that was in the building is okay and is safe. So that's great news. I'm really grateful to hear that.
Michigan State Police say it happened around 9 noon tonight on southbound I-75 near Grange Hall Road. State troopers say a family with 2 young kids had pulled off the side of the interstate to change a flat tire. That's when the car was hit by a pickup truck. The family died. We're working to learn the condition of the truck driver. Someone was taken into custody, and state police releasing a statement about the crash saying, in part, quote, this tragedy is another heartbreaking reminder that consequences of choices behind the wheel can be irreversible. One poor decision can change the course of history for multiple families. We'll be right back here on News Channel 3 live at 5:30.
Good job, Remington. All right. Yeah, just monitoring. The biggest question now is if we see storms late tonight, which I've barely been able to chip away at in the forecast. It seems like the hurt and the
tornado warning in Lansing?
yeah, right now, just in Ingham County.
Yeah, I just saw that on my phone.
Yeah, not in Lansing, but in southern part of Ingham County. Anyways, the biggest question is whether or not we see another round in time for Light Up the Lake.
Oh, okay. Do you have Max?
Okay, is Will taking it from the top, or am I going to toss it? Okay, you're taking it, Will.
Okay, thank you.
You see the warning for Braves County's canceled?
No, but thank you.
Warning canceled.
Are they saying at all, Keith, indicating whether they're considering canceling the warning or the watch?
I don't see them talking about that yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they're like still in the thick of it, but
Yeah.
I feel like normally in these sort of scenarios they would have trimmed the watch, which that's the only thing that has me worried for Light Up the Lake is that they haven't
Yeah.
trimmed it. Also, everybody ignore the graphic you're seeing right now.
That is radar indicated, by the way, for Ingham County.
Okay, thank you.
Look at that, my doorbell camera, it's raining, but everything's still there.
Okay, that's good. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm seeing anything right now.
Keith, could you? This is also. I can go do
Just
it.
tell me.
Can you go run on the printer and see if
Yeah.
my forecast sheet is over there?
Yeah. In here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. I don't think I grabbed it.
Okay.
Are you guys seeing that? Of course you are. Okay. You're seeing some editing going on. Hold on, everybody.
Do you have an update on power outages, David?
Yeah, that would be good to get on. Thank you. I'm mostly curious about those dew point temperatures that are spitting out. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
That was kind of what I expected.
Yeah, they're not saying anything.
Okay. All right, here's a look at our Mungie meter the next 4 days, really showing that humidity starting to fall into your holiday weekend. So that's the silver lining. If we see some of these thunderstorms, they are going to continue to wane our humidity in the coming days. By Monday and Tuesday especially, you'll notice a definite change in the air. Of course, for your 4th of July weekend, though, another hot one tomorrow with a late afternoon thunderstorm yet again. Now, that potential, I would say, a little less than the round that we just saw as far as any stronger storm potential. However, we will be on guard just in case we see anything overperform a little bit in the weather department. Then into Sunday, scattered and bordering on numerous thunderstorms around, especially in the morning. Hopefully that humidity, though, starts to drop by late afternoon into Sunday evening. And that will be, again, sweet relief after this heat wave of at least 5 consecutive days in the 90s. Remington?
Yeah, well, we're getting dozens of pictures tonight to our Chime-In Gallery. These are photos from the Vicksburg area on V Avenue. We're also getting pictures from parts of Portage near the Lexington Green neighborhood. Remember, you can send in your storm damage to our Chime-In page. Visit our website, WWMT.com. Well, barbecues are a 4th of July tradition, but firing up the grill is getting a bit more expensive. The National Retail Federation says Americans are expected to spend more than $9 billion on food for the holiday. When Baumgartner takes a look at where shoppers may have to splurge and where they can still save this holiday weekend.
All right, everybody. So on the live feed, I'll probably kill the live stream here in just a second because we are starting to see a break as far as the active severe thunderstorm warnings for us here locally. Okay, thanks, dude. Okay, so what I was saying is there is a threat that is now extending out towards Ionia. In fact, there's even that tornado warning for a portion of Ingham County. However, because these are starting to really exit our primary audience, we're going to, I think, conclude this live stream. I will be posting some updates, though, regarding our storm potential for late tonight. But this will allow me to kind of gather myself for our on-air product for the rest of this newscast and then live at 6. Do you have something?
Did you see the Skyline report about Madeline?
No.
Report of a trailer destroyed at West Point Hills and Madeline.
Oh, we might want to.
There's a picture of I'll go report that.
Yeah. How, where is that?
It was at 503. The report came in at 503. So if you scroll to 503 on the GL feed, you'll see a picture of it there. It comes from the DNA. So I'm going to have that.
Oh, I see that.
Trailer destroyed West Point Hills. I'll go tell them.
Yikes. Yeah, that'd be worth going.
West Point Hills, Madeline.
All right. So, sorry, everybody. I'm doing a couple things, but what we're going to do is probably wrap up this live feed as I was describing, and then we'll look to this next possible round late tonight into the overnight. I'm very optimistic that hopefully if we see some additional storms, hopefully they will hold off until well after Light Up the Lake has concluded, and that is certainly the goal. Keith is here, coming back from a few days off, and he was just monitoring the chat with the National Weather Service. It does look like in, what was the?
West Point Hills Trail.
Okay. West Point Hills?
Yeah, in Madeline.
In Matawan, at least there was one trailer, it looks like, with a very large tree right in the middle of it. So we're
just a few minutes away. We have a crew on the way. Just a few minutes.
Okay, great. So we have a crew headed that direction. So that's at least a couple structures. There was the apartment in the Parchment area that had a tree fall on it. Fortunately, that woman, Tyler reported, was okay. She was able to get out, and crews were on scene getting that hopefully assessed. Now we also have, like I said, a crew heading to the situation in Matawan with a tree on a trailer that does look like it has pretty much destroyed, or at least gone right through the middle of it. So certainly thinking of whoever's home that was tonight, and hopefully we'll get some good news there. But we do have a crew headed that direction. If we see that second round, I think the better chance is overnight. But the fact that we don't see much additional development. Hey, does this come right out to me again, you guys, or no? Sorry. Does this come out to me?
I think it's to me. I think I talked about power.
Okay. Yeah, Remington, it'll just go to graphics. I'm only going to go for about a minute, and then I'll pitch it to you, okay?
Oh,
Yeah. That one is easy to miss because it's just like a line. It says weather 3 or whatever. All right. So everyone on the feed, we're gonna have the latest on air. So I'm gonna end this live stream here in just a second. But if we see further development, I'll continue to keep you posted here late.
Maintain the threat for damaging severe winds over the next 1 to 2 hours. For the watch, that's the watch update.
For damaging winds?
And that's for the Detroit area.
Oh, okay, okay.
The new discussion that just came out from SBC. Hold on.
Warnings continue to extend out of our viewing area associated with this damaging line of storms that cranked through Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Calhoun County, producing some wind speeds of 60 plus miles per hour. Confirmed in South Haven, Kalamazoo, we had a 79 mile per hour wind gust, and then another gust near around 60 miles per hour, also confirmed at the Battle Creek Airport. We will continue to monitor this. We're currently trying to see if the National Weather Service is planning on canceling that severe thunderstorm watch or whether they will keep it through 10 p.m. Regardless, 4th of July also features the threat of some showers and storms, a little less potential for severe thunderstorms, although we'll be on guard just in case. And then even into Sunday, while we could see some showers and storms, I think the first half of the day, a little bit more likely for that. Into next week, we see temperatures coming down a little bit more tolerable with some middle 80s. And fortunately, I think some quieter skies come Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all complete with much lower humidity. Remington.
thank you so much, Will. Well, tonight, thousands in West Michigan spent a very hot and humid day without power or air conditioning. And it's even worse.
All right,
after
again,
this
everybody,
new round.
I'm going to wrap this up. I've said that like 3 times, but I'm actually going to do it this time. We're going to have a lot of information to come through WWMT.com for the very latest. And then on air, we have Live at 6 coming right up. We have live reporters out in the field. So be sure to tune in for that. And then if we see anything that warrants concern late tonight, I'll be here to walk you through that. But everybody stay safe out there. Take care. We still have the potential for some lightning behind this line of storms. So don't be just walking around. There's still a good amount of lightning outside. So take that seriously. All right. Take care, everybody.
They didn't address whether they're going to, that update from the SPC was more about